بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala gave tawfiq about 2 years ago when the first announcement of COVID was made. At that time many people, because we were all locked up at home, the thought came in my heart to initiate a series of explanations of the surahs of Quran. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala in His kindness has allowed that now I have reached Surah At-Taariq At-Taariq, meaning very close to the end of the Quran Kareem. In different masajid, dars of these surahs took place. Here also perhaps a few durus took place. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make all the people of this country and the people of the world, make the barakah of Quran enter into our houses, into our lives. For many years it was understood that barakah of Quran will come with tilawat of Quran, which is the highest level of the barakat and the main maqsad of Quran. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala inspired, and because of which hifz classes opened up. And how it opened, where other people from Arab countries, Muslim countries, they come to South Africa and they wonder that in which place, and every town got a hifz class. And how big the hifz class is, and how people, girls are learning, boys are learning. And in the deen of Allah Tabarak Ta'ala there's no end. Climbing the ladder, where the enemy, they continue making their effort. This surah contains this message. The end of the surah is إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا, that they are making a lot of plans. وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا, and Almighty Allah says, and I'm also making my plans. Just that verse, they are making a lot of plans. وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا, and I am also making mine. فَمَحْهِلِ الْكَافِرِينَ أَمْهِلْهُمْ. You don't get too worried about what they're doing, give them their time. I am also giving them time. فَمَحِّلِ الْكَافِرِينَ. You give the kafir, the disbeliever, the one who's making the plan, the conspiracy, terrible conspiracies, terrible attacks. Said, you give them time. أَمْهِلْهُمْ. I'm also giving them time. This surah will end on that. They are making their plans, I'm also making my plan. Don't worry too much about them. You leave them, I'm also leaving them at all. When Allah Tabarak Ta'ala allows the world of evil to do theirs, it is always that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, and I am also doing mine. Because of which when fitan will become stronger, and that's what's going to happen in the next few years. Already we're seeing some examples of it. Anyone who knows what's happening in the lands around Makkah Mukarramah, that is itself like the thermometer for the whole world. That if they're dancing, and evil has reached a level that if an imam just decides to speak something against that, you can't do this, just that sentence of his is regarded as a national crime, for which if he is jailed for 10 years also it's understood that the punishment is too small. He needs a big punishment. But the people have said, what did he do? But that same bayan was given for the last 10, 15, 20 years. That same bayan was given, but suddenly that bayan which yesterday was understood as a normal bayan, that bayan became that you will never hear this even in front of the Kaaba. So when they will make their plans in such a manner, it is a thermometer to understand what's going to be happen in the rest of the world. What fitan, what evil, and how the attack is now not going to be made anymore on Christians and on Hindus. Now the attack is going to be made on Muslims. That we're the only one out of the club. You come in. You enter in the club. I also got something for you. So much. When so much of attack is made, Allah Tabarak on the other side also creates what is called the camp of Iman. Mention is made in the ahadith close to the end of times. There will be a camp in which there will be hypocrisy, no Iman at all. This is not speaking about the camp of non-Muslims. It's speaking of the camp of Muslims, no Iman. And then they said, there will be the camp of Iman with no hypocrisy. Allah Ta'ala will make something happen in such a manner, and that's what the surah is going to speak about. That how through the darkness Allah Ta'ala breaks and brings the light. How Allah Ta'ala makes the weakest of weak. So the surah will discuss three. One is what is called At-Taariq. Tariq refers to that star. In the past, the Arabs and the people of Quran, and for a great time in the world, it was translated as the piercing star. Those that understood the stars, and the Arabs were masters of the stars. With the star, they knew where we are, where we need to go. The piercing star was that one which broke the darkness, and they picked it up. That they called it At-Taariq. But the word taraka yatruku means to knock. If someone knocks at your door, it gives a certain dik, dik, dik. After how many hundreds of years, today science have said we are able to hear sounds coming from those stars. And they said we can hear that dik, dik, dik. After so many hundreds of years, the beginning of the surah said, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. By the oath of the sky and that star that pierces, or the star that comes knocking. The qasams of these last few surahs itself had a lot of meaning in it. One meaning is what we'll explain. And that's only like one possibility. Mufassirin would explain so many. And as time would go, the miracles of Quran will just continue opening and opening. The sky is dark. The sun has set. That little bit red is left on the horizon. That starts going away. It becomes little whitish. That's gone. Now it is only black. Only black. At that time that star comes. And it pierces all the darkness. Or if we translate it today, that star that knocks from very far. That if a person wants to listen, he says, I can hear it making it stick. What messages was going to give is, no matter what plans are being made to make sure that the decision of Allah must not take place, to make sure that that uprise must not happen, to make sure that that final which Allah wanted, Allah's Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, by the qasam of Allah, even if there is only 1 day left, 1 day means 1 period, even if there's only 1 day left, لَتَوَّلَ اللَّهُ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. Almighty Allah will lengthen that period. He will make it so long, meaning He will make it happen, until a man from my progeny, meaning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's progeny, until a man from my progeny, حَتَّى يَمْلِكَ الْعَرَبَ. He will stand up and he will take rule over all the Arabs. At the moment, everyone is waiting and wondering, will it ever be possible? In the land of the Haram, where one man from the Kaaba cannot speak one thing against what's happening around, you will be put in jail immediately. At such a land, will you ever find a revolution? Verse was to say, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. By the oath of the sky, meaning when everything is dark, if you want to, you will hear that star knocking, to say, I'm coming very soon. It will give its sound from far. The one who has the ability will hear it. The one who can't hear, he just has to look up and he will see it piercing. It breaks through those darknesses, layers and layers. And the Arab would look at it and he would say, I found my way. That's why they looked at the star. Waiting for the clouds to move, waiting until they picked up, there's it. And with the one star, they traced the other stars. And immediately said, we're on the wrong route, let's move. At the qasam of that star that pierces the darkness, one message was going to be given in the surah, that don't think anything is impossible for Allah. When Allah wants to send, it will break through everything. Neither is Qiyamah impossible for Almighty Allah. That message was given to every person who was thinking of walking the path of atheism, Satanism. When you ask the Satanists, what made you take the path? In the past, we never have to mention this in a masjid, because we never thought it possible. that a Muslim will ever think of becoming a Satanist. It was known that the Muslim hates the devil. Iblis is hated. We have reached a time now where we meet people, or we are asked to speak to someone who came from such a good family, but he decided that I am not happy with Islam. And you don't want to meet him because you also know what he is happy with. He's not atheist. He is ready to say to you, I only feel what we call the devil. He got some other name. He says, I only feel this individual got kindness in the world. And he'll give his life. That individual you don't want to even sit with because he's carrying the jinn with him. In his eye he looks like the devil. The surah was to say to them that no matter what he'll lie to you and say, don't worry, Allah will not make you stand in front of him, I'll be there for you. The surah was to say, when this one star for so many hundreds of years from the beginning of time, no level of darkness could stop its light piercing. Don't ever think anyone is going to stop Allah doing what He wants to. That star says nothing stops the command of Allah. Levels and levels and levels of darkness will spread in the world. And Almighty Allah will say, break through. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was one of those stars that broke through. In the land of Iraq, when it was known as the empire of evil, Namrud, what we hear about Namrud, is like a small name today. In the era of Namrud, that word Namrud itself made people fall in sajda. Just the name Namrud. He had so much of fear put in the hearts of people for him. He had the empire of evil. He had a lifespan that went over many hundreds of years. Everything worked as Namrud wanted it. He had his devils in every area. He never needs spies of man, he had spies of jinn. Everyone was his. In the house where Ibrahim alayhi salam was born, in that house the idols are being made. In that house the name of Namrud is being taken. No one ever dares stand against Namrud. Almighty Allah says, Ibrahim alayhi salam was a nation in himself. Kana ummatan, one man was a nation, one star. And how he pierced. Allah Ta'ala says, he started telling his father, Ya abati, oh my father, how can you do this? Then he had to tell his small village, oh my village, how can you do this? Then the time came where he had to say, I'm leaving my land. He had to leave Iraq. Leaving Iraq, he landed in Egypt. The entire Egypt is worshippers of the devil. He has to go past Egypt. He says to Lut alayhi salam, his nephew, on the surface of the earth, taking the name of Allah as it's supposed to be taken, it's only me and you. It was he, his wife, his nephew. What a star was going to pierce the world. That as it broke through, the entire army of Namrud came to an end. One Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Allah Ta'ala said, we gave you blessings. From Ibrahim alayhi salam comes Ishaq alayhi salam and an entire chain of Anbiya. Comes Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, comes Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one star. This is the was-samaa'i wat-taariq. When Allah wants it to happen, then in the land where Firaun got the message that soon a child is going to come who will overthrow everything. They looked at the stars. Firaun said, what does it mean? They were able to tell him it's going to be a boy. They were able to say from which family, meaning Bani Israel. Otherwise Egypt had many different clans. They said from this clan here, Bani Israel. There were not many in Egypt of the Bani Israel. It was not their land. They were from the lands of Sham. There were many people living in Egypt. This was one group that had settled down. Said from this group it will be. It's going to be a boy. They were able to tell him in which year also, meaning we have the odd year, the even year. They would say it would be like this in a certain year. So much they were able to show that when Musa alayhi salam was put in the water, His mother got scared. There was a law that no child will be born in this entire group of Bani Israel. No child. Except that the woman giving birth, helping to give the birth, she must first report to the authority that in a certain house tonight I am going to help. Although she is of the clan herself, if she does not report, she will be killed. There was no woman who would be ready to help in delivery, except that to save herself, she would first say that I am going there. If it would be a girl, no problem. If it would be the year which is the year where the child is not being killed, no problem. If it had to be the year where the child is killed, and the woman already gave the message, then the chance of that child surviving one night also was 0%. She gives the message. No one's going to take the chance. Those people are already waiting. When the child will be born, her job is to come out. When she comes out, they enter, so she doesn't get in a problem. They say, we heard a child was born in this house. We would like to see the child. If it's a boy, that's the end of the child. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam's mother trusts one woman that you will not tell. I know you will not tell. Don't tell. Please don't tell. But who is not going to tell? Before she comes, already the message is given. They're waiting outside. She comes in. Musa alayhi salam is born. In the books of tafsir, they write, her eyes fall on Musa alayhi salam. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِنِّي I threw upon you love. That whoever would see him would fall in love. She just looked at Musa alayhi salam. When a child is just born, how much love can come? She just looks at Musa alayhi salam and she says to the mother, I am so sorry. They know about the child. If you can hide the child, hide this child. Musa alayhi salam's mother looks, where are you going to hide the child? And already they're hearing sounds and she says, I have to go. As she's going out, she just passes. They're not going to ask her any question. She just goes. And Musa alayhi salam's mother is in a thought, what to do with my child? She takes Musa alayhi salam and she puts it in the hand of his sister. The mother can't look after the child. Where the sister, the daughter is going to look after the child. Those people enter. They say, what's happening in this house? She says, nothing is happening. They say, why was that woman there? She came to visit. They say, you lying. Where's the child? And Musa alayhi salam's mother says, what child? But the child's supposed to be crying. But there is no child crying. Then they look around and they see the girl, the daughter. And Musa alayhi salam's mother also looks at her and she also got no child. And then they walk around, there's no crying, there's no sign. They look wherever they need to look and they go. They also confused that why did the woman tell us in this house? The daughter is confused. The mother is confused. Mother looks at the daughter, where's my child? The daughter looks at the mother, that I thought you took it. And this one, I thought you took it. And then they hear a cry. From where the cry? The books of tafsir say, from the oven. From the oven, Jibreel alayhi salam, according to the books of tafsir, had taken the child. And he put the child. As Ibrahim alayhi salam went into the fire, and the fire was told, no burning. When Allah wants a star, to pierce through, the world of Fir'aun can look for him, they do not find. That was only the beginning. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala in Quran says, we said to the mother, suckle the child. Meaning, why worry? فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ And when you become too worried, because every day, what if someone finds out? Say, when you become too worried, no problem, throw him in the water then. Just that. فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ If you got too much worry, meaning we'll look after him in your house. But if you can't manage, throw him in the water. Which waters? A water which has crocodiles. A water where a child cannot survive. Wherever he is going to go, he is going to die. Just throw him in the water, no problem. And it comes in our heart that the only way to save this child. In the past, how Allah would put things in the hearts of a mother. فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ وَلَا تَخَافِ Stop worrying. Stop worrying. إِنَّا رَادُّوهُ إِلَيْكَ And if you say, I want to see my child, no problem, we'll bring him back to you also. Send him in the waters, we'll bring him back to you. But we have already decided we're going to make him a Nabi. The mother wants to put him in the water. Maybe he'll go away to an island. Maybe some jinn will look after him. Maybe another land he will reach. Maybe anything. She goes to her friend. She says, I need you to make me one box. The box has to be like this. What are you talking about? She says, I got a child. And I know I can trust you. I need to put this child in the box. It's a very long incident. We won't go, but that friend also spied out. That was the crux. Even that friend spied out. And again Allah Ta'ala made it. They came looking and they could not. Finally the friend, when he saw the signs of Allah, he gave the box and he said, forgive me for spying you out. And the mother puts Musa alayhi salam in a box. The box could have gone anywhere in the world. It could have landed in South Africa. From Egypt all the way here. Allah Ta'ala will take it right past Firaun. Right past. Firaun was not going to be on the waters at that day. Mufassirin writes from the incidents of the people of the past that one of the daughters of the palace, she had some issue with the skin. The doctors had said that your remedy will be in these waters. So because of that, that whole clan had to go and camp there for the weekend, whatever time it was. While they're all there at the waters, using the water for bathing, that's when Musa alayhi salam will come past. That's when. So much to Allah to show, when I want my star to come. In the house of Firaun also I'll make him grow up. In the house of Firaun. What is that box? Bring it here. They open it. Wife of Firaun looks at it. وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ, I have thrown love upon you. She just sees Musa alayhi salam. She falls in love. She says, you can't harm this child. They write, the people told Firaun that this boy is from that clan. This could be that boy, because who was born in this time? So much is told to him. Everything's supposed to make sense, but when Allah blocks the sense, when Allah blocks it, Firaun just is stumped, can't say one word. And Musa alayhi salam comes home. In the palace of Firaun, Musa alayhi salam starts crying, وَحَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِ الْمَرَاضِعَ مِنْ قَبْلُ. Then we made the woman to give milk haram for you. Every woman is coming, give milk, give milk. Musa alayhi salam is not drinking anyone's milk. I want my mother. The queen is worried. People are sent out, find anyone to give. Musa alayhi salam's sister, she hears about it. She says, I know of a family. Very good family. Musa alayhi salam's mother comes. Again they got doubt. The way Musa alayhi salam grabs onto her, starts drinking. That doubt also Allah puts a barrier, he will drink. Then the queen says that you will stay in my palace. The mother says, I can't stay, I got a family to look after. And the child cries. Immediately the queen says, no problem, take him where you need to go. But I like him so much, can you bring him now and then I want to see him? No problem. Now I'll take him back home. And now no one will trouble me. And actually Firaun will pay for his milk. Inna radduhu, we will send him back home. وَجَاعِلُوهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ, but we will make him the Nabi of Allah. When Allah will want the Mahdi to stand, although they will not say it loudly, but so much of effort is being made, that this person who we call the Mahdi, which is a title, the one who will be guided, the one who will take over the Arabs, the one who will stand up, Allah's Nabi said, and he will fill the earth with justice. Kama muli'at jawran, like just before that how it had become filled with oppression. So much of effort is being made in certain lands that not a child must be born except that his name must be known. It must be recorded. There must be movements of every person. No one can move in a street. No one can enter a masjid. No one can travel. Everything must be known. So much so we can pick up, if that one boy is born, we will know. Who knows Allah's qudrat, Allah's shan, that if Allah wants to, in the very family that are trying to make sure he is not born, Allah will say, I want him to be born in that family. Who knows how Allah will work? But Allah's Nabi, when he said, even if one period is left, Allah's qasam, Allah will lengthen that period until the individual comes. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, يُصْلِحُهُ اللَّهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ. In one night, Allah will make him able to manage this responsibility. They write that what it means is, before that he himself, it will be in his mind that you will have to change this whole thing. But when he will look around, no support, no ability, so much of evil, surrounded by all sides, who will have that courage? In one night, Allah Ta'ala will put such feeling in him that he will be able to stand up and he will say, I'll take the world. I will fight the world. They write, in that night, يَجْتَمِعَ عَلَيْهِ أَهْلُ الْحِلِّ وَالْأَقْدِ. Allah will just put it in the hearts of people and they will start flocking towards him. At the present time in the lands, what we call the Mubarak lands, and Allah filled that lands with barakah. But how they trying to remove the barakat? So every now and then in the news they will try and say the club had so many people in it. So many people went for this concert. So many people went for that show. All they want to show is, you see who the people are with. They're with the devil, they're not with the deen. So even if the Mahdi has to come, they're not going to like him, they're going to oppose him. That's why that numbers are shown. That the people, the support is with us. The youngsters want us. One night Allah's decision will happen and the star will pierce. And everyone will see light, everyone. يَجْتَمِعَ عَلَيْهِ أَهْلُ الْحِلِّ وَالْأَقْدِ. The people of intelligence will gather around him. The people who are a little foolish, they'll also look and they'll say, what we were doing, they'll also gather. How Musa alayhi salam was a markaz of love. When Allah wants to make it, He'll make it. The surah is to give a message. Number one, Qiyamah is not hard for Allah. So don't fall so in love with the shaitani world. Because when we have to stand up in front of Allah, shaitan is not going to answer for us. He might show you the best and the filthiest of pictures on the internet computer. But tomorrow your eye will have to take the burn when lead is being poured in. He's not going to take that. He'll say, I got my own issues to worry about, you sort yourself out. He might bring the best of music in the world, which the man says, I just can't leave it. It's soothing to the mind, to the body. It takes away my pain. It is the tune that I've been looking for so many years. But the day when something has to be poured in the ear, the devil is not going to say, I'll take it. Few days of sabr. The surah is to say, don't think Allah cannot make you stand. When nothing could stop that star piercing for so many hundreds of years, nothing is going to stop the decision of Allah when He says stand. Innahu ala raj'ihi laqadir. To bring everyone back, what is hard for Allah? Yawma tubla as-sarair. On the day when all secrets will open up. That was one message of this. But the other message is this revolution. How will this revolution take place? So before we mention one, we mention the star. How Allah lets it just pierce. Nothing stops it. As we're going to mention, everyone in our heart make this decision. That Allah, I want to be from your army. Around me when I'm looking in the world, I'm not seeing that army at all. I am not seeing any surat of the army. But I don't need it because I see that star which gives me a message. That if I am so far, but when Allah says, show your light, nothing stops me. So when Allah will say to His selected servant, show your light, nothing will stop him. Darkness can never ever stop light. Darkness can never. The surah was revealed in Makkah Mukarramah. At the time where, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to speak about one day my deen will be in every part of the world. At that time, even some people with Iman would look at each other and it says, I don't know how that's going to happen. Out of Makkah Mukarramah, forget, in Makkah Mukarramah they had to be in a house. Everything had to happen in secrecy. Where is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You say, who wants to know? Why you want to know? Then he would see he's genuine. You say, I'll take you there tomorrow morning. But when we are walking, if you see anyone and I feel suspicious, I will just act like I'm attending to my shoe and you must just carry on walking. Because if they pick up you with me coming to see Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you finished. That's how it started. In that time where to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 0% chance. Meeting him. So much of hiding. Finally you'll get in the house. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, why have you come? I came to believe in you. He says, Mubarak to you. Read the kalima. He said, I want to announce it. He said, don't announce it. He says, don't you see who's with me, this few? He said, this is not the time. But then he would say, but you go back. And the day you hear that I have become victorious, then you come back to me. The day you hear that. The star, nothing will stop it. At that time, people will wonder where. We at the moment also wondering where. Let us be like that Sahabi. He came at a time when there was no one. Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, look around me. There's hardly any strength. He said, I want to stand up. He said, make sabr. But you mind. You go back, you engage in your work and you carry on listening. Carry on listening. And the day you hear, I have stood up, then come to me. The people of this era, that is our responsibility. We make a pact with Almighty Allah, I want to be of this. I want to be of this Mubarak Jamaat. When it will stand, the whole world will fall in front of it. Around me I look now, I'm not seeing any sign of it. So I'll carry on listening as I hear that star making tick, tick. The knock. That soon the door is going to open. So I look, I see what's happening in the lands. I carry on listening. But I've made a decision already who I am with. On that decision, I will make decisions of what I must do in the next few years. Where I must think of going. Where I should invest. How I should look after my children. What thought I should put in their heart. In the past it was, the father would say, what you want to become doctor? What you want to become lawyer? What you want to become accountant? Now it will be different. Now it will be, whatever you want to become, remember, at any time, a decision will have to be made. At any time, a decision will have to be made. Be like that Sahabi. I'm studying here, but my ear is still there. What's happening in the world? What's happening in Makkah Mukarramah? What's happening in the Muslim lands? What's happening in Pakistan? What's happening in Turkey? Carry on listening. I'm now not following television. I'm not following Hollywood. I'm not following Bollywood. My mind at the moment is, the decision of Allah is not far. At the moment I don't see any sign of it, but it's going to happen. I'm listening. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. By the qasam of the sky, it's so dark, but there is that piercing star. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقِ. What will ever inform you? How will you understand what is the tariq? النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبِ. It is a piercing star. إِن كُلُّ نَفْسٍ لَمَّا عَلَيْهَا حَافِظ. If the individual thinks, but how? How will Allah look after? When He will want to stand, when that small Jamaat wants to stand, so much of evil, so much of darkness, will a star manage to pierce in today's time? In that era of Nubuwah, there was no WhatsApps, there was no satellites, there was no tracking devices, there was no I know what he's saying, there was no all his records I got. Now in today's time, how will one man, he just has to stand up and one drone will come. One drone and they can just wipe him out. He'll stand up in Makkah Mukarramah, few people around him, I want to pledge allegiance. Immediately one bomb will fall. One atom will be sent from somewhere. How will he manage? Allah says, in kullu nafsin. There is not a single thing in the world that breathes out. Lamma alayha hafiz. Except that on top of it is a protector. Nothing will happen. When Allah wants the decision to be made, when Allah wants that decision to be made, in recent times what happened in Afghanistan, when it happened there were some people who shook their heads like this. And they said it's impossible for anyone to defeat the superpower. There must be some lie behind it. Because in the heart it's impossible. You can't beat them. You just can't beat them. This will not be a country beating. This will be one man standing up against the world. One man. How many drones can be sent against him? How many? Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, in kullu nafs. Nothing takes breath in this world except that the protector is on top. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّ خُلِقْ. Say to man, let him think well. Nazara means to look, to think. From what has he been created? So the one was the piercing star. And as time went, the miracle of Quran, today they heard the tick, 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 and they said, wow, how Quran called it At-Taariq. And as time will go, more miracles will come. Second one, to show when Allah wants something to happen, how it happens. An amazing Quran is in another verse, Allah Ta'ala says, Allah is not shy to give examples of the mosquito and even something lower than the mosquito. In this surah, Allah Ta'ala gives an example, and what an example. It's the example of what we will call the fluid with which a child is born. We normally say the end result is the sperm. But before the sperm, you call it that fluid. And the make of that fluid, how it's created. Allah Ta'ala said, let man think deeply, mimma khuliq. From what has he been created? First the mind will immediately go sperm. Look at this verse, but say think deep. That's just sperm. From what is the sperm created? Khuliqa min ma'in dafiq. Man was created from a water that gushed forth. Min ma'in dafiq. From a water that gushed forth. In this year, there's too many of miracles, and because none of us are really in this medical field, and to explain it also is very difficult. So much I will say is, if anyone understands what happens after the sperm has to enter into the woman, for that woman to fall pregnant, there is that millions of cells that are going to be now pushed through. And they have to make a very long journey in search of what is called an egg. And as they are going towards that, everything is against it, meaning the current is all pushing away. And everything in the stomach cycle of the woman is against it. It's burning it, it's killing it. And as this, whatever they call this, that sperm cell now, it's got a new name, as it is moving in its direction, then one by one, everything is breaking down, dying. It's too far, the journey. Too far. And then the world decided to add something else, where it is a shaitani thing in the world, that there must not be too many children born. We might not think about it. In certain countries, they even said we'll put a ratio of 2 or 3. But actually the biggest ratio, what they call family planning. Family planning is that if people don't have children, it's very easy to control. You'll understand this here if you visit countries like England, and you'll visit a certain place where majority are Muslim. Majority of that town is Muslim. But now you'll wonder, England is a non-Muslim country. So where did so many Muslims come? So immediately the government says, check up, why are we allowing so much to come into the country? As they make their records after that, they say, sir, it's not so many came in the country. They came in the country and they got children. So many children are born that now they're 80% of the town. Now the mayor is Muslim. Then they make calculations. They say if we have to carry on this ratio, in the next 10 years there won't be no one but Muslims in England. So much they'll do then. They'll inject. They'll play around with the hormonal system of the woman. They will make efforts. One Jamaat reached one time in the madrasa, they said, as people go in Al-Aqsa, then you will see some people in Al-Aqsa sprinkling water. They're always throwing water. He says that water, actually we know about it. He says the Jewish magic that is. They throw that water on Muslims. And in that water they have the spells that these people, their wives must not give birth. Not give birth. So for us it was an amazing thing. Then that man said, but you know Allah's Qudrat, Allah's Shan. At that time when he was there, that Gaza war was taking place. Gaza. And we know when the Gaza war takes place, and how many bombs are dropping. Not this recent one, the one before. So he said that while the bombs were dropping in Gaza, during that 10 or 15 days, He says more children were born in Gaza than those that passed away because of the rockets. In such a condition, where normally you'll say, I need peace of mind. A child is going to die, one child is being born. How it's happening? That sperm, as it's going towards that destination, everything is against it. Allah Ta'ala says, man must think, he was created from that fluid that gushed forth. When it gushed forth, everything pushed against it, you will not reach. But Almighty Allah's one decision is, if a child has to be born, then that one will reach his destination. The world will make an effort. Ask sometimes a woman who says, I have done planning, I never want to get a child. Say, what happened? She's crying. You say, the decision of Allah. When Allah's decision comes, whether you put a tablet, whether you put a barrier, when Allah says go through, everything goes through. خُلِقَ مِن مَّاءٍ دَافِقٍ, created from that fluid which just gushed forth. And then another miracle of Quran, يَخْرُجُ مِن بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ. And where did the fluid gush forth from? Where it started? The world today, if you ask, where did the sperm come? Up till recent times, many people said, look at this verse of Quran. And they even said that this is a proof that this is not the word of Allah. Because the world said that sperm comes from what we call the sac. That's its place, that is where it stays, and then from there it's transferred and it comes out. Allah Ta'ala says, where it started, it all started from between. بَيْنَ الصُّلْبِ, between the spine, the back, وَالتَّرَائِبِ, and the rib cage. Now we all know the spine, and we all know the rib cage. And hundreds of people would look at this verse, and especially in the era what we call the modern scientific era. And the initial man would say, I know where sperm comes from. Sperm doesn't come between the spine and the rib cage. But those who were true, masters in their field, but they were true, they kept quiet. One person even wrote, he said, so many of you are questioning this verse of Quran, but why do I see the masters in the field, they quiet? Because they also said, if we have to say the truth, it means there's no way anyone could have known where it all starts from. The world all thought it's the sack. Today now people are speaking. And every time they're speaking, they're saying another miracle of Quran. First they worked out that actually the nerves, we know our spinal cord, where the spine is, where the rib cage is, in between them there's that groove, a very fine groove. In there is those nerves. At certain points those nerves start sending its signal. That nerve is going to create that electric current which is going to push that sperm out. Now when they worked it out, and when you have spinal problems, you'll know, you'll go to the doctor, you'll always say at L1, L2, that L stories, and you get very worried. So the doctors will know where they're picking up where. One doctor looked at it. After working out where it really starts, where the nerve, he said, the best description of this thing will be, you will say between the spinal and the rib cage. I said, what a description. But never ended there, not only the nerve. They looked more, look at this verse, فَلْيَنْظُرْ, tell man, carry on thinking. Carry on thinking from what are you created from. And as he will think again, he will go quiet. That only the creator of man could have explained where the fluid starts from. More they looked at it, they began understanding that even the sperm, initial creation of the sperm, as that blood gathers, where it gathers, working it out on the body, best description, they said, rib cage and the spine. Little bit higher now. As they looked at it further, one doctor wrote, and then they explained at the time when the husband comes to the wife, and how the body then starts going into sending messages. And again the whole thing came, and all of it starts, they said it starts from this one point, best description between the spine and the rib cage. And it will never end. One verse, tell man, carry on thinking. And the more you will think, but here the message what we are giving is, that as that one sperm comes out, and every one of us are a proof of it, that it managed to reach where it had to reach. When Allah had made the decision, Ahmad is going to be born, The whole world could try to stop the mother of Ahmad falling pregnant. That one fluid was going to reach where it needed to reach. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. There is something called the Noor of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said it was a light that was put in the back of Adam alayhi salam. And from there it continued moving in the backs of the best of people. Moving in the backs, being transferred in the backs of the best of people of every era. So many errors where the devil was not blind to that Noor. In the time where it could really happen, Bukht and Nasr, the worst of tyrants, he found a Nabi, or he found an individual who was of that lineage, not a Nabi, of the lineage who was going to be of the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one could stop Bukht and Nasr from killing whoever he wanted. He was a worshipper of the devil. Going towards this individual, the Nabi of Allah comes and says to him, "See, had Allah not allowed you to do what you wanted, you would not have managed. But I have been sent to tell you, you walk towards that village, and Allah will break your entire kingdom by the night." And normally he won't get scared, he'll go to it, something comes in his heart and Bukht and Nasr stops. And he tells his soldiers, let's carry on that way. That individual, how many devils would have just said, kill him, finished. And when you kill him, the light of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never have reached. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I was a light that Allah moved in the backs of the best of people. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's father is Abdullah. Abdullah has to put this light somewhere into the womb of Amina. When the time comes for Abdullah to get married, his father says to him, let's go to a certain place. As they are going past there's a very famous, very pretty, very beautiful, very well-known woman. She was a master of seeing the stars, working with the jinn. She immediately picked up, that's the light I am looking for. She sends a message to Abdullah. Abdullah's answer is, if it's haram, then no way. If it's halal, meaning you want me to marry you, let me ask my father. He asked, his father said, no, let's carry on. He goes, he gets married. He spends time with his wife. On his way back, he notices the woman is not even interested in him. He's amazed that just the other day you actually handed yourself over. Now you don't even want to know me. He goes to her and he says that, don't you recognize me? She looks at him like, did you come to see me as a patient? He says, I am that very person who just the other day, a few months ago. She looks at him again. She says, have you got married? He said, I got married. He said, you spent time already with your wife? He said, yes. He said, that's why. So there was a certain light in you. I wanted that light in me. But that light is gone. You have already put that light where it needed to go. When Allah makes a decision for anyone to be born, every one of us is that one sperm that had to reach where it had to reach. Allah Ta'ala says, when all of you came out, you think Allah will not make. When He wants someone to stand, you think He's not going to stand. He will stand. The whole world will push this way and Allah's decision will go that way. And it will happen. The revolution is very soon. We must just be listening and waiting for it. And then one more Allah Ta'ala gives. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتِ الصَّدْعِ. And by the qasam of the sky, ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ, again a miracle of Quran. ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ for years was translated. Sahaba radiallahu anh translated it. Amazing their mind was. When they were asked, what does ذَاتُ الرَّجْعِ mean? The Sahabi said it means rain. And the qasam, the oath of the sky and the rain, ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ, the one that gives rain. And people would look and wonder like, raja'a means to return. Raja'a means to return. So why are you saying rain? Like, what rain does? Where does rain return? But they had heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much explanation that he just said, rain. How rain returns, they wouldn't ask no question. After how many hundreds of years they worked out that whatever comes down from the sky goes back up. Whatever the sky takes, the sky says, I'll return it also. They started with rain and then they opened up to the world. There is something called evaporation and condensation. The sky will take nothing from you except it will send it back. And by the oath of the sky which returns everything, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الرَّجْعِ, they'll say the waters, how much is evaporating, and then the rains come down. Then they worked more into it. And they said in the atmosphere, what sounds go up, everything is pushed back down. What gases go up, everything is pushed back down. And the more they investigate to understand the happenings of the sky, this one verse, if the individual, amazing it is that how is it the scientist, he only finds atheism in front of him. If he just had to allow his pride to be removed, in this one surah, immediately he would have read kalima. What a word! And by the oath of the sky which returns everything. وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتِ الصَّدْعِ, and by the oath of the earth, when it just breaks, opens up, cracks. One easy translation which the people of the past understood, by the oath of the sky when it sends down the rain. And by the oath of the earth, after taking in the rain, it opens up and that small sprout comes out. So weak it is. But the whole earth is ordered, you will have to open up when it wants to come out. How it opens. And that was an indication when Allah's command will come. When inspiration will come from above, it will come like rain. When it will fall on the ground, hearts of people who you never thought could change will open up. Weak individuals will become strong trees. They will give shade to the world. For which reason the law is, don't ever think you can't be in the unique army of Almighty Allah. Because it got nothing to do with me and you, it got to do with inspiration from above. When the waters of Allah allows that small bud to become a mighty tree, if Allah looks at me and you, one nazar and everything will happen. وَالْأَرْضِ ذَاتِ الصَّدْعِ. 3 qasams. One is the piercing star. That when nothing has been able to ever stop the star giving its light, nothing will stop Allah from creating His stars. The star is knocking. You must just listen, wait for the knock. Very soon the door is going to open. Second qasam is that fluid which later on becomes sperm. As that fluid gushes forth to its destination, and how it goes, and how the message is given before it, and nothing can stop it, and the results come out. Almighty Allah's decision is like that. It will gush. Sahaba radiallahu anh said, there'll be a time when there's no khilafat. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes. He said, then what happened? He said, tyrants, terrible rulers. He said, then what happens? He says, then suddenly Allah's decision will come. Suddenly. It will just stand. How they will try to stop. And the final is the qasam of the sky when it gives down its rain, and how the earth will open up to it. A day will come when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will not be a house on earth, baked or unbaked, except that the deen of Allah will enter it. Some will be happy to take it. Some at the beginning will not want to take it. But it will say, no way I'm entering into every house. We wait for that day, but we carry on listening. We make the decisions of our life with our ear towards that. Don't ever be in that dream that I got another 100 years like the 100 years that passed already. I just have to make sure my children graduate, they get a good job, they get married, they have their grandchildren, and then they live nicely and this house is for you. It's no longer like that. Now the dream of the father when he looks at his child is Allah make you, whether it's a girl or a boy, Allah make you from the garden of Islam that's coming. And his whole planning is on that. My child must learn how to ride a horse. Whether it will work later on or not, it got nothing to do. I have only been told to make an effort, mastata'tum, what you can manage. No one is going to start riding horse in South Africa and going to be the best warrior in the tomorrow. But the fact that the child is riding the horse is to show Allah, you ordered me to do what I could do. I'm only doing so much. No child there must be except that the child knows a little bit of how to defend. No one is going to be in the front lines in that day. But just the fact that the child had a thought, Allah's Nabi ﷺ said, Man sa'ala Allah ash-shahadata bi-sidqin. Whoever will ask Allah for martyrdom with a sincere heart, بَلَّغَهُ اللَّهُ مَنَازِلَ الشُّهَدَاءِ. Allah will ensure he will reach the high levels of the martyrs. Even if he passes away on his bed, but he will get there. The child will be told by the father, I have hope you will be of that group. When a child has that thought in his mind, that child himself will behave different. Certain games will no longer appeal to the child. The child will want to look at certain things and say, Daddy, but won't Allah get angry with me if I'm doing this? You think He'll allow me to be of that army one day? And the child himself says, no, I can't do this. If the mind of the child is told, you might have to be. Muhammad al-Fatih conquered Constantinople. When he was a young boy, the teacher who was told to look after him put his hand on his shoulder. He pointed to Constantinople, what we call today Istanbul. It had never been conquered from the time of Hijrah. 600 years had passed. No one managed to conquer it. People, mighty leaders came. They failed. This is a young boy. He puts his hand on his shoulder. He says, you see that land over there? He says, I have hope you are going to conquer it. Finish. One sentence. They say, this boy Muhammad, when Allah gave him the ability, he would speak of nothing but Constantinople. He would ask regarding Constantinople. He would be making plans in his mind regarding Constantinople. One sentence created a mature mind. That small child, when you see as growing up, already that child must be told, you are from the garden of tomorrow. You are from the garden of Islam, and your father and your mother are making that preparation. Now when I lift up my hands, it's not going to be anymore. Allah give him a good job. Allah give him a good wife. Allah give him a good salary. That's part of it. It will be Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. Allah in the world the best. Wa fil akhirati hasana. But I want his akhirat to be the most unique. This must be a gem of the time, and nothing is hard for Allah. There will not be one star that's going to pierce darkness. There will be many stars. When you look up in the sky, how many you see? As the skies pierce the darkness, they give a message to the world. How many stars there are in Allah's skies. There are going to be so many stars on the ground also. Every one of us can become a star. Allah make every one of us and our children those stars. إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلٌ فَصْلٌ وَمَا هُوَ بِالْهَزْلِ. Allah says, this is a word which is decisive. This is a word which is decisive. وَمَا هُوَ بِالْهَزْلِ. This is no joke. Beautiful Quran. إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا. They are making a lot of plans. وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا. But I'm also making my plan. فَمَحْهِلِ الْكَافِرِينَ. So you don't worry too much of them. أَمْهِلْهُمْ رُوَيْدًا. I am giving them grace. That is why they're surviving. Don't ever think of walking in their path. Don't ever think of walking behind them, that nothing is happening to them, nothing. Allah says, leave them. Give them grace. Don't follow them. Don't be too worried why they're not getting punished. I am giving them grace. But they're planning and I am also making my plans. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make us of the stars of the future. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.